Jody Hardesty with Empowered Heart Connections. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk about the many reasons why people cheat when they're in a committed relationship. And I am not condoning cheating behavior, so just want to clarify that off the bat. It almost always has negative effects on relationships, so it's certainly not a usually helpful choice that people make. However, there are definitely many reasons why people tend to cheat. And I think it's helpful to kind of be aware of that so that you can help kind of make your relationship a little stronger, and also just recognize that it's not always just because someone is not giving enough in a relationship. That often whenever we have someone cheat on us, it's hard not to take it personally and feel like maybe we're not enough, or compare ourselves to the other person that they cheated on with. But the reality is that often relationships that have cheating happen have some breakdown in the relationship that has happened, and that neither partner is great at addressing or figuring out what the problem is. So that's just one reason why people tend to have affairs in a relationship or cheat. The other part of that is there are certainly people who just cheat. That's who they are. They don't really care about commitment, and that is something that is a behavior that they condone and excuse regardless of what relationship they're in. So I think that's something to keep in mind also. That's really important, that some people just aren't meant for monogamy, and that's their prerogative. But for those of us who are wanting monogamy and wanting a committed relationship, it's important to really, first of all, establish from the very get-go that you want a committed relationship, that you are devoted to having a monogamous relationship, and you work on the issues that are potential causes for that kind of relationship breakdown that causes people to be drawn to people outside of the relationship. So, for example, sometimes whenever people are in a not so healthy relationship, or perhaps they are being criticized or critiqued, or they're being put down quite a lot, that will definitely send people for looking for comfort outside of their relationship. And obviously not in every situation, but it certainly makes people more vulnerable to being looking for comfort outside. So if you're totally feeling like you're emotionally getting beat up all the time, you feel like you're getting told that you're not worthy, or that you're too too fat, too whiny, too angry, too whatever the too much is, if you're hearing that a lot of the time and you're not hearing anything that's positive, and you're feeling like really insecure, your self-esteem is getting hurt, or your partner's self-esteem is getting hurt, that does leave one susceptible to potentially, again, finding comfort somewhere else, finding reassurance and validation outside of the relationship. Some other reasons are maybe it's a somewhat decent relationship, but that maybe one partner or the other, or probably both, aren't great at making the other person feel connected, feel valued, feel appreciated, feel acknowledged. And this is often one of the reasons why relationships break down, is when we don't communicate with each other, when we're feeling rejected, when we're feeling hurt, when we're feeling like they don't want to be near us or with us, or that we don't feel valued. Sometimes that can cause people to be susceptible to, again, finding relationships outside of that committed relationship. So finding that you're needing some validation outside of that relationship, if you are finding that, it's important to recognize that that's happening. And rather than going outside of the relationship, which is what sometimes people's tendency is, to go back to your partner and talk to them about that as, hey, I'm feeling rejected, I'm feeling shut down, I'm feeling like I'm not important to you, or I need some more support. And that is obviously the most effective way to navigate relationship problems, is going directly to your partner and connecting with them directly. Another situation that often causes people to stray, not often, but can cause people to stray, is when they have a newborn. So having a baby, often people are brought together by that, and they feel like it's a momentous occasion, and even though it's exhausting and challenging, it can draw people together. However, there are situations when, if they don't really have a solid foundation to begin with, couples can kind of pull apart. They can pull away from each other, especially if either mom or dad is now really devoted to this new human being in their lives. And maybe they're more devoted to the baby now than they are to the relationship. And one partner is feeling rejected or alone. And these are all natural feelings that happen in relationships but need navigated so that you can find that way to connect. And obviously, sometimes it's just not possible to connect as conveniently as we'd like whenever we have newborns, because newborns require a whole lot of our time and attention. So when we have children, it can really put some stressors in a relationship and can really make it challenging for people to connect, especially when they're exhausted and maybe haven't slept so much or have a screaming infant at home. So there's lots of elements there that make relationships more complicated whenever we have babies, whenever we bring children into the house. So those are all areas that can contribute to some disconnect in relationships. Sometimes even having a job difference where one person got a new job and they're feeling really valuable and important at their job, but their partner is still at their old job or maybe a stay-at-home parent. And sometimes that distance can create a gap there if they don't come together. Again, all of these situations are navigatable, but they take connecting together and reassuring each other and aligning together to make sure that you're on the same page so that you can get through the struggles, because all relationships have struggles. A lot of times people can repair from a cheating relationship, especially if they discover that it's because they were trying to repair what the monogamous relationship was missing by getting validation from an external partner. Obviously, that doesn't work for a relationship. But if they can come together and the person who cheated can be 100% transparent, and that's hard, can tolerate the discomfort that their partner's going through and the pain that their partner's going through and going to continue to go through for quite a long time because of the betrayal, that they can tolerate it and be comfortable to say to their partner, I'm sorry you're hurting, what can I do to help? And not get defensive about it, which is really hard. Because when you've done something that hurts somebody, most of us feel pretty crappy. So it can be challenging to work through those tough feelings. But especially if it's a new, particularly emotional affair that maybe you're really bonding with someone at work because you're not really having that same connection that you used to have with your partner, and you address that with your monogamous partner before it becomes something more serious, it can be much more easy to repair. But repairing after an affair takes a whole lot of work and a whole lot of time and energy and a willingness to really be devoted to reconnecting and finding that spark that may have gone missing along the way. Obviously, it's never quite the same as that first honeymoon stage, but there are ways that you can keep your relationship much more alive than sometimes it becomes when we get into a rut of the monogamous relationship, especially if we have kids and we have jobs and then we have to come home and do housework and all of that stuff. But it is possible to make sure that you are creating that spontaneity in your relationship, like you're going on dates still, and you're finding time to spend one-on-one, and you're promoting intimacy together, and you're looking at each other in the eyes, and you're sharing your dreams, and you're exploring new things together. That those things can really help promote that aliveness, that spark in a monogamous relationship, especially if you're noticing that people are potentially looking outside of the relationship or finding connections outside the relationship that don't feel like they're helpful to the monogamy. So these are all just possibilities. I'm not saying this is going to be you or that everyone in the situation will have a cheating experience or experience infidelity. But these are just some of the topics that people often explore whenever they are having some issues with fidelity. And like I said, there can be repair in some relationships when this has happened, if it hasn't gone too far, and people are willing to do the work, and it's really, really hard work to come back from that, but it is possible. Again, it takes the person who's cheated being completely transparent and open with their phones, with their emails, because a lot of times it's been deceit that has happened, and so repairing the trust is really huge. And it's not forever. Obviously, nobody wants to live like that, either the person being cheated on or the person who cheated. But for a period of time, while the person who's been cheated on is healing and healing from that betrayal, it takes a lot of work to reconnect, to repair that damage, repair the trust, and really validate that you guys are working towards having a more fulfilling and connected relationship, and that is no longer happening, that the cheating is no longer happening. It's no longer an option for either one of you. So again, it takes a lot of work, and it's not everybody who has a partner who cheats. But I think the key takeaway is that it's important not to take it like you've done something wrong when you've been cheated on. That it's hard not to feel like, oh, it's because I'm not enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or he or she is better than me and that's why my partner cheated. But in reality, it's often not about that. It's about some emotional piece that needs tweaked, and it's often about the partner who's cheated needing to do some soul searching about what they're looking for in order to better their life, and to not have to blow up the relationship in order to figure that out. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, there's many reasons why people cheat, and many reasons why it can be challenging in a relationship, but that it's important to make sure that you are doing the work to stay connected to your partner, and whenever you do have conflict or problems, to make sure you're going internally in your relationship and not trying to find some sort of healing or connection outside of your relationship. Obviously, that tends to cause a lot more problems. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful.